Hey everybody, welcome back to C.Dat.Guy Review Movies. My name is Christian, and today I'll be reviewing Birds of Prey. This is the first time I'm reviewing a Worlds of DC movie on my channel. Other people like to call it the DCEU. I'll admit that I don't really care for this franchise as much as like the MCU, Star Wars, X-Men, or John Wick. But because I've already seen every movie in this franchise, I always have to give them a chance. And here's a quick rundown of how I feel about it so far. With Man of Steel, I didn't like it at first, but when I've watched it a few more times, I've learned to like it more and more. With Batman v Superman, I really liked Ben Affleck's take on the Caped Crusader, and I think Wonder Woman stole the whole movie for me. But besides that, I don't really remember too much, except the story was a bit messy and it was hard to follow, so I didn't like it. With Wonder Woman, I loved it, and I think it's the best of the franchise so far, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. With Justice League, I thought it was a bit messy. At least the plot was a bit more coherent, and they ruined Ben Affleck's Batman for sure. For some reason, I liked it better than BVS. With Aquaman, despite it feeling like it was a bunch of movies put together, it still managed to work and find its own voice, and so I liked it. And finally, with Shazam, I appreciated that it broke away from the main franchise and did its own thing of being a little more kid-friendly and more of a comedic superhero movie. With Aquaman making more than $1 billion and Shazam having a high critical rating, and Joker, despite being not a part of the franchise, has made over both $1 billion and got 11 Oscar nominations, I think DC's on the upswing right now. So, where does Birds of Prey stand in comparison? Let's find out. Oh, I guess I also forgot to mention Suicide Squad. In terms of watching any franchise, I tend to watch the previous movie as a refresher of the storyline for the next movie. But yeah, I didn't rewatch Suicide Squad. I think at the time I watched it, I did like it a little more than BVS, but really not that much. But after really thinking about what happened in the movie, yeah, it was pretty much a mess. To me, Suicide Squad was already a weird inclusion into the franchise because I thought it was DC's answer to the MCU's Guardians of the Galaxy, where you had a team of generally unknown characters to the movie-going audience. I only knew Joker, Harley Quinn, and Deadshot, and Deadshot and Harley Quinn were definitely the highlights of that movie, along with Captain Boomerang. Suicide Squad is essentially a spin-off movie since it focuses on villains, and now we have Birds of Prey, which is like a spin-off of that spin-off. But this is one of the few times where the new movie is better than its predecessor. It still carries some shades of Suicide Squad in terms of color, characters, and the way they use their music, but this manages to execute it much better. Despite being called Birds of Prey, the movie clearly focuses a lot of its runtime on Harley Quinn, and rightfully so because she is the most recognizable character. Margot Robbie pulls off another great performance as Harley Quinn, as she is still quirky, eccentric, violent, and actually gets a bit of character development thanks to taking care of this little girl named Cassandra Cain, who is a foul-mouthed thief that pretty much kicked off the events of this movie. The Birds of Prey, which consist of Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress, Journey Smollett-Bell as Black Canary, and Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya, were an interesting collection of characters. Huntress is a vigilante who is justified in her anger but socially awkward. Black Canary is a singer and a fierce woman who has a heart for others. And Renee Montoya is an edgy detective who likes 80s cop movies and drinking. For the villains, we had Ewan McGregor as Black Mask, who was sadistic, over the top, but fun, and his henchman, Victor Zsasz, played by Chris Messina, who was equally crazy and evil. The story goes like this. Cass steals a diamond from Black Mask. Harley Quinn has officially and publicly broken up with the Joker, and there's a lot of people who are after her. For protection, Harley agrees to steal the diamond back for Black Mask, but ends up protecting Cass instead, and then the Birds of Prey have some tie to Black Mask. In retrospect, I compared the storytelling to Deadpool. So in a way, this is Deadpool light. You had the story told in the perspective of one character who uses quite a few flashbacks, and at one point Harley does break the fourth wall. There is violence and swearing, but it seemed pretty tame, and there's not even that much blood in it. None of these are problems, but I felt like this could have been a PG-13 movie. It probably would have helped the box office. It also still carried some Suicide Squad vibes in terms of character introduction. I didn't have an issue with the way they were introduced. I actually found it quite informative. But look at the characters that I just mentioned. That's a lot of them. And their introductions are spread throughout the entire movie. And I think even Huntress doesn't get officially introduced until the third act of the movie. The story was simple, but these introductions constantly happening disrupted the flow and made it harder to follow. It did match Harley's craziness, but it was a bit distracting. The way they defeated Black Mask was funny, but also anticlimactic. And despite the title being Birds of Prey, they don't really become the Birds of Prey till the end of the movie. And they do have some action scenes together, just like any other superhero ensemble, but this was clearly a Harley Quinn movie. Overall, I thought Margot Robbie did a good job at really working on and developing this movie as a producer, and I appreciated that she was really trying to include not generally known DC characters, but this wasn't a Birds of Prey movie. And now that Warner Brothers wants to advertise it as Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey moving forward, I think they noticed this issue as well. If this movie had that title from the start, it probably would have made more opening weekend money that way. It was a bit hard for me to put a score on this movie, but after thinking of the things that did work and what didn't work, I still have to say that this was an okay movie. It was definitely a step up from Suicide Squad, but that's not saying much. I liked the characters and their interactions. The story was fine, and they did have some funny moments. I liked their style and really their use of the color palette. But even though they had all these great parts, for some reason, all of it coming together wasn't effective for me. And so for that, I'll have to give this movie a 7 out of 10. Alright, so there's my review of Birds of Prey. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comment section down below. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I really don't care. But if you do want to see more movie reviews from this guy, go ahead and click the subscribe button. But other than that, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!